Welcome back. This is our fifth tutorial and we are going to look at aggregation functions. So let's get to my SQL workbench. Okay, so let's connect to my SQL server using the L300 demo connection. Alright, so today we are going to use the HR sample database. And in the HR database, we have two scripts, the HR sample data and the HR table. So usually you execute the HR table before the HR sample data, because the sample data is the actual data you'll be entering. Okay, so let's get back to my SQL workbench. I'm going to put these scripts in the description box below. So yeah, you should be able to so there will be a link that will lead you to these scripts. You can download the scripts, save them somewhere, then you get to your workbench. All right, so we are going to open the scripts on the workbench. So I'm going to use the open SQL file tool here. All right, then you navigate to the location. Okay, so it is on my desktop, and then it is HR database file. Yeah, so usually when you open, because it is txt file, you are only opening SQL file, so it wouldn't appear. So you have to change the default setting here to all files. So you are looking for all files, not SQL files. So let's select all files. Then you can see all the files you need here. Okay, so let's start with the HR table. So, and then this is the HR table that is displayed. Okay, so we have a number of tables there: the regions tables, the countries table. So you remember a relational database is the database where we store data in tables. So if you have to create the HR database, you are essentially creating tables. So that's why we have various tables. So the tables are also your entities. Yeah. Then we have the location, we have the jobs table, we have the departments table, employees table, and then we have the dependents table. So these are the entities that also represent the tables in the HR database. Okay, so let's look at the first table. So create table regions. So they are going to create a table for regions. They want to collect the information on the regions where the company is operating. Okay, then let's start. We are interested in the region ID. Then the data type is defined here as integer. The size is 11. Yeah, so usually with integer, we don't define the size anymore, but this is old-fashioned. If you define the size, that is old-fashioned. You'll be given some warning that in future this may not work. Yeah, then you have auto increment. So the system is going to generate the region ID, and then that is the primary key. Then the region name varchar, and then 25 default is null. It means that particular field can be empty and the database will still accept it. So that is the regions table. Then we have the countries table. So I will not go through everything. I will just move to the employees table. That is a bit interesting. So you can see that we've created all our connections from the employees table. So we have 3 connections there. So that's why we have the foreign key here to be job ID, the foreign key department, and the foreign key manager ID. So it means we are establishing 3 links from the employees table. Okay, yeah, so let's start. So create table employees, employee ID integer 11, auto increment primary key, first name, last name, email, phone number, hire date, job ID. Then we have salary. So here the data type is decimal. So usually with the decimal, you indicate the number of digits yeah, in what in brackets. Yeah, so the total number of digits is 8, and then the number of digits after the decimal point is 2. Okay, so that is how you what define this the space occupied by what a decimal. Okay, then let's get to what the links. So here we have what the foreign key job ID. So we are referencing what the jobs table. Okay, so we have job ID already in what in employees table, and then we have what job ID in jobs table. So let's go and look at the job table here. So you can see that we have job ID. So it means that can what serve as a foreign key from what the employees table. So we use it and then we reference jobs table and then on delete cascade and then on update cascade. Then we come back what to yeah define what another foreign key, that is what department ID, because we want to what link the departments table. So we are referencing departments and then department ID in the department table and then on delete cascade, and then whenever we are updating there should be a cascading effect. Then finally we have another what foreign key, but this foreign key is a bit interesting because this is a case of what self-reference. So we are in the employee table and then we are referencing what the employee table again. Yeah, so this usually happens when you have a situation where some of what your instances, yeah, assume two status. Yeah, so what that means is that the instances are the employees. Okay, yeah, so you can see that every employee has an employee ID, and then every employee has a manager, but the manager is also an employee. So if you are going to reference what an employee's manager, you'll be referencing the manager from what the employees table, because this is somebody who is what an employee and he's also a manager, and he is a manager to another employee. So if you are what trying to what refer to the manager of a particular employee, you have to refer to him in the same table, or you are referring to him in the same table, because first and foremost that manager you are referring to as the manager of this employee is also an employee and he's a manager. So he has what a manager ID and he has an employee ID. So our foreign key here will be what the manager ID, and then we are referencing what the employee that the manager is a manager over. Okay, so foreign key manager ID references employees, and then what employee ID. Yeah, so we are referencing what that employee, that particular employee, usually you use what their IDs to reference them. Yeah, so we are referencing what that employee whose manager is this particular manager. Okay, so that is a case of what self-reference. So sometimes we can have what tables linking themselves or referring to themselves because of what certain what special instances within that table. Okay, so now let's move on. Yeah, then the last table we have what dependent table. So that table is also what um, referencing what employees. Yeah, so foreign key is what employee ID referencing what employees table and then employees ID. Then whenever you delete, then you should cascade it, and then whenever you update you should cascade it. Okay, all right, so that is it. That is the HR what table definition. Let's execute the entire code, but before we do that, we will have to what create the HR database. Okay, all right, we have to create and activate it. So that is always an important step you have to take. So we are going to what create schema. Yeah, so I'm going to call it HR Ghana. So let's say okay, so that is Yeah, sorry, I didn't bring the schema. So create schema HR Ghana, and then what, add our semicolon. So let me zoom it out so that you can really see that. So this is the database we are creating. So create what schema HR Ghana. So let's execute what the HR Ghana command. All right, so that has been what created successfully. Now we have a database called what HR Ghana. So let's activate that HR Ghana database. So use HR Ghana. Sorry. Okay, so let's execute that. And then the HR Ghana is active. So you are just going to refresh, and then you'll find that you have what your HR Ghana database active. All right, now that we've activated it, we can now go and what execute the HR tables. Okay, so let's execute the HR tables. All right, so let's check the HR tables once more. We have some syntax issue there. Well, I can't find any syntax issue. Let me try it again and let's see. Okay, so it works. All right, so yeah, maybe because I'm using a new version of MySQL workbench here, so I didn't really see the syntax error there. So now it has worked. Yeah, but you can see that because of what the integer sizes we declared, they've given us some warning there. Yeah, so this triangle you see is a warning sign. Yeah, but our code has worked. We have created what our HR what table. So we can look at what the HR Ghana tables by what showing what tables. So show tables. All right, so let's execute the line. So these are the tables. So we have the countries, departments, dependents, employees, jobs, locations, and then the regions tables. Okay. Yeah, so even if you can see the tables are arranged in what alphabetical order here. Okay. All right. So these are all the tables we have in there. There are 7 tables. Okay. And we are going to what first of all try to what answer some questions using aggregation functions. So that is the essence of what this tutorial, to learn to use aggregation functions. So we have what a number of aggregation functions here I want us to look at. So let's see them. All right, so they are right here: average, count, maximum, minimum, standard deviation, yeah, sum, and variance. So these are what some types of what aggregation functions that we are going to look at, yeah, by exploring the HR what yeah, database. Okay, so now we have our HR database. Yeah, but there is still one thing: we haven't entered the data. So let me go and pick the data. So to pick the data, let's open the HR sample folder and then show all files, and then what pick the sample data itself. So now this is the actual data itself. So you can see insert into regions, insert into what countries. So they are inserting what data into all the table, the 7 tables we've seen. All right, so there is nothing wrong here. I'm going to execute the entire script using the first execution button. Okay, so our data is being entered. I'm just going to take a few seconds. All right, so that is done. Now we have our data in our HR Ghana database. So we are going to look at the employees table. So let's write a command to return all the data or all the records we have in the employees table. So we are going to say select all from what employees. Yeah, so you should note the names. Already we've shown tables, so we know that there's a table called employees and then has S. So let's execute this command. And this is going to give us all the records in the employees table. So you can see that we have what a number of employees there: Stephen King, and then what Nina Kocha, Lex, Dehan, Alexander, yeah, Hunald, and then so on. So we have their emails here, their phone numbers, their hire date, their job ID, their salary, their managers. Yeah, so you can see that an employee here will have what, a manager, and this is the manager ID. And then we have what, I mean, their department IDs. Yeah, so the first thing we want to do is to count what, the number of employees we have in our what HR Ghana database. So count. So to do that, we are going to select count. So that is when you want to count the number of employees. So you select count, and then when you are counting, you should count what their ID. So we have what, employee, because every employee has an ID. So we are counting what, employee ID. Yeah, so you should make sure the employee ID you don't add S. Okay, so this time is employee ID. So count employee ID. Then from what, which table? That is from the employees table. So the counting should be done in the employees table. So this time the employee has S. Yeah, so select count employee ID from what, employees table. So you should bring an alias here so that the count would not be what, displayed as the heading. So you can bring an alias, so as number of employees. So you can put it in quotes, number of employees. Okay, so this is it. Let me zoom it in a bit so that we can see the entire command. All right, so let's execute that. Okay, so now we have the number of employees to be 40. Okay, yeah, so you can see that, I mean, clearly here. All right, now, okay, yeah, so now the next thing we want to do is what, I mean, to look at their salaries. So let's execute the command 4 to see the entire database, employees database. So now we have what, the salary column here. So let's first of all look at what, the minimum salary in the employees table. So we want to know who earns the minimum salary or the lowest salary in our employees table. So that is a question. So which employee, yeah, earns the lowest salary? So we are going to select yeah, so we are only interested in the first name. So we are going to select what, first name. Yeah, then we'll select what, their last name. Well, we are interested in just the name, and then the salary and their department. So we can look at these things. So select the first name, last name, the salary, and then the departments. Okay, so that will be what, the department ID. So now we will be able to know their name, the salary they are taking, and the department they are coming from. So from what, employees table. So from employees. Okay, so this will give us what, yeah, so we have to bring a condition. So the condition is that where salary okay Okay, so let's say the condition will be what? Where salary um okay, so where salary um is equal to what, here we are going to use what, a subquery. Okay, so the salary should be equal to what, the minimum salary. Okay, so where salary is equal to what, let's say select, yeah, so select, mhm, okay, so let me say where salary equals to what, select minimum salary. Yeah, so let's select what minimum salary, okay, yeah, from employees. Yeah, so where salary equal to a select minimum salary from employees. Okay, let's see. So we have some syntax issue there still. So let me bring a bracket here. Yeah. Okay, so there should be a bracket here. So where salary is equals to a select minimum salary from what, employees. So this should give us what, the employee with the lowest salary in the tables, or perhaps I should break it down so that you can see the entire code. Let me also even turn off what, the navigator. At this time we don't need it. Yeah. Okay, so this is the code. This is what will allow you to select the first name, last name, employees, salary, their departments, yeah, and then yeah, where the employee is the one receiving the lowest salary in the organization. So let's execute the command. Yeah, so we have what, I mean, Karen, yeah, who receives what, 2,500, and she's what, in department 3. So this is it. And then you can do same for what, those that are receiving the highest salary. So now we want to know the highest earning employees. So I'll just repeat the code, and then in place of what, minimum, I mean, you make it max. Okay. All right, so let's execute that. And then we'll also get to know the employee receiving. Okay, so um, yeah, I didn't copy the entire code, so let me do that. Yeah, so I've broken it down, so I should copy everything. All right. Okay, so let's change the minimum to what, maximum. Yeah, so this should also give us what, the employee receiving the highest salary in the organization. So let's execute that. And then it is Stephen King. That is what, 24,000. Yeah, and he's in department 9. Yeah, so Stephen is receiving the highest salary in the organization. Okay, so we are also interested in knowing what, the average salary. Okay, yeah, what is the average salary? Yeah, in the organization. So that one we just what, select average. Yeah, so yeah, select average salary. So that will compute the average salary for us. Um, from what, I mean, employees. All right, so let's execute this command. Okay, so the average salary is what, yeah, 86 86,060. So this is the average salary, 86,060. Okay. Yeah, and then I mean, if you're also interested in the one receiving the average salary, we can compute that as well. So you just replace select maximum salary with the average salary. Okay, yeah. So to do that, we just want to replace. So I'm going to select. Okay, let me push it down so that we don't have to see the other code that is not needed. All right, so let's change this to average. Okay, so let's execute it. All right, so nobody is receiving exactly the average because it's an average. Yeah, so that is what the total salary divided by the number of employees. So nobody is receiving exactly that in the salary scheme. Yeah, but we know our average salary. Yeah, so for instance, we could look for those that are receiving less than average. So with that one, is going to give us those that are receiving less than average. So this will give us all those that are receiving less than average. Okay, so we have those that are receiving less than average, and less than average is 6,000, 4,800, and so on, going down. So now we can also look at all those that are receiving more than average. Okay, so we'll just change the comparison sign here. Okay, so this also gives us those that are receiving more than average. Okay, so I want us to do one more thing to compute the total number of salaries for each department. Yeah, so we want to see how much the company spends in paying salary for each of the departments. Okay, yeah, so that is something we can do. And then when we are doing that, we'll need the group by function, because this question will require us to group them into a department and then compute the amount of money spent on salaries for each of these departments. Yeah, so to do that, yeah, we are going to let's select okay, so here it means we need to select the sum of salaries for each department. So I would say select sum, then we'll say salary, yeah, as so we'll use an alias here. So select sum of salary as total salary. Yeah, so that is going to be the subtotal that is for the department. So as total salary for department. Okay, so this is the total salary for department. Then we also select the department ID. The departments are represented by department IDs. So we are going to indicate the department ID. Okay, so from employees table, that is the table that contains the information. Yeah. Okay, so select total salary, and then department ID from employees. Yeah, then we are going to group it by. So group by. So here we are using the group by clause here. So group by. So I can bring it down so that you will be able to see everything. So group by department ID. Okay, so this is it. And then let's execute the command. Okay, so now you can see that we have a total salary for the department and then the department ID. So the first department, department one, their total yeah, salary is 4,400. Department two, and then department three, and then so on. So we have the total salary for all the departments. So department 11, they are having 20,300. Okay, department 9, they are having 58,000. So some department, they have more people. Okay, so let's say that we want to even know the number of people in that department, because perhaps some department has only one person. So that is why the department one, their salary is so low. This is the sum of their salary, and it's 4,000. Others are having 58,000. So we could also add the number of employees in that department. So I'm going to reorder it, yeah, so that the sum will come after the department ID. So I'll just copy this and then I'll go down and paste. Okay, so now we are selecting the department ID first. So let's select department ID. Then we'll also count the number of people in that department. So count. Yeah, so we are counting employee ID. Okay, so we are selecting department ID, the count of employee ID. So I think the employee ID, we should bring an alias. Okay, so as number of employees. Okay, yeah, so as number of employees, then we're also selecting the sum of the salary as well, total salary for the department from our employees table. Yeah, so I should take off the comma here. Yeah, so this is it. All right, so select department ID, select count number of employees. I count employee ID as number of employees, sum of salary as total salary for the department from employees. Then we group it by department ID. Okay, so let's execute the command, and this is the outcome. So we have department one, they have only one employee, and their total salary is 4,400. Department two have two employees, and they are taking 19,000. Department three has 6 employees, and they are taking 24,600. Department 4 has one, and he's receiving 6,500. So now we know the department, we know the number of employees, and then the total salary those employees are taking. Yeah, so yeah. Okay, so assuming we also wanted to know the jobs and how much they are paid for those jobs, we could also select so let's select the job. Yeah, because we have jobs table as well. So let me just let's look at the jobs table first. So let's select all from jobs. So let's look at the jobs table first. Okay, so we have job ID, job title. Okay, so we are looking for the job titles. Let's also look at the employees table, whether we have the job titles there. So select all from employees. Okay, so let's execute this. Okay, so we have what the job ID here, and then okay, so looking at these two tables, we could use the job titles. So we want to look at what the various job titles and the amounts they are paid, yeah, for those what job titles. Okay, yeah, so to do that, let's select what the job title. All right, so select the job title, and then we want to count the number of what people having that title. Okay, yeah, so count the number of what let's say managers, the number of accountants, the number of clerks. Yeah, so we are counting what yeah, yeah, so we are counting job title. Okay, all right, so count job title. Okay, so but it's like there's going to be a bit of a challenge because we are not having job title in employees table. So it means we'll be selecting from what two different what tables. So that is what we have to do. If we select all from one table, then we'll not get what the job titles. Okay, yeah. So so we are counting what um yeah, so this is where we are going to use a join. Okay, we haven't looked at joins yet, or maybe the video is getting too long. Okay, I'll just do this, and then in the next video, then I'll introduce you to joins. Okay, yeah, so count what yeah, so we are counting the job titles. So um, we are counting the number of employees with that title. Okay. Um, okay, so count what I mean employee ID. Okay, then yeah, either we are counting what um the amount that is paid to people with that title. Okay, so then the sum, yeah, sum of salary. Yeah, yeah, so let's use an alias here. So the sum of salary is what total salary. Okay, so from what employees. Okay. Yeah, so because we want to use a join yeah, so this one we want to use, I mean, there are types of joins. Yeah, so either you have what we call an inner join, an outer join, yeah, a full join. Okay, yeah, so inner join is usually the intersection. Okay, so let me see. So before we indicate where we are selecting from, yeah, we need to indicate the join. So we'll say join, yeah, jobs, um, um yeah, so join to the jobs. Okay, so because we are what going to select from what two different tables. So the job title is in the job table, like I said earlier. So we have to what add a join here. So this place, let's use what okay. So we have to indicate the table we are selecting from, then we'll join it. Okay, so let me bring what from what employees. Okay, so we are selecting what job title, count the employees, and then there's total salary. What I mean from employees. Now we need to join it to what the job table. So yeah, inner join. Yeah, maybe let me just break it down so that you can be seeing the entire code. So inner join. Um, yeah, so the inner join jobs. So we are joining it to the jobs table. Yeah. Yeah, then we'll bring the condition where employees, yeah, dot, we are going to join them. So usually when you want to join them, you also need something like a foreign key. Yeah, so if you look at the two tables, they have what job ID in common. Okay, the job ID is in the employees table and it's also in the jobs table. So we can use it as the foreign key to really what join these two tables. So here we'll say what employee dot what jobs ID. Yeah, so this is the job ID, the employee table we are referring to. So it should be equal to what the jobs dot what job ID. So that is the job ID in the jobs table. So we are indicating that these two has to be equal before the join can be established. And then we'll now what bring our group by. Yeah, so we want to group it by what job title. So group by what job title. Yeah, so this is it. It's a bit lengthy, but I'll be treating joins in our what next video. So you should be able to cope with this. All right, so group by what job title. So let's execute the command. Okay, so this is it. So we have what job title, public accountant, accounting manager, administration assistant, president, administration vice president, accountant. Yeah, so these are what their total what salaries. Okay, these are the total salaries of what each of the positions. Yeah, so those that are what yeah presidents, this is the total salary in the organization. Those that are accountants, this is their total salary, and then the number of what accountants we have. Yeah, so I think I should add what an alias here. So here we ask what um yeah, so we are counting this as what number of employees. So the we will no longer see this title what count employee. Count employee is not a nice title. Okay, so that is why I'm changing it. Let me break this down this way. So I'll take the inner join up here, and then let me bring the where down. Yeah, so this is it. So I think after that I'll also what add the script. I'll add this particular script to the link so that once you click on the link in the description box, you get the entire script I created in answering the questions. Okay. All right. So this is it. Let's execute it once more, and then we have what the job title. Then yeah, we have the number of employees in with that title and their total salary. Okay. Yeah, so even the job title, we could what put an alias there as well. So as what position. So we could say this is the person's position. Okay, yeah, when you are using the alias, if it's just one word, you don't put double quotes. Yeah, so that is also something you have to note as well. If it is one word, you don't put double quote. But if it is more than one word, then you put the double quotes. All right. So I think we are done with this particular session. Okay, so let me execute it once more. So I'm going to do a part 2 for the aggregation function. There are a lot of things where you can do on aggregation functions. Okay, so you can see now the position is what public accountant, number of public accountants is 1, their total salary is what 8,300. Okay, so let's draw the curtains here and see you in our next tutorial. Thank you.